Hey there, welcome back. I'm so excited about this one. I want to show you how to make a wrapped pamphlet, and you can use these as stocking stuffers this year because they're about 4.5 inches wide and about 6.5 inches tall, and they fit perfectly in someone's stocking. So let me unwrap this here, walk you through kind of what this looks like. So inside we have your regular kind of standard pamphlet. I'm using 70-pound text paper, but I've wrapped the whole thing in this really cute piece of handmade paper. And I got this handmade paper at the store. It's not even hard to find. And it's got some petals in it and it's soft, which makes this wrap around pamphlet just really, really easy to make. And it's beautiful. So let me show you another example. This purple one is the one I want to walk you through today. It's just like the other one, but obviously a different color. And I'm using a different bit of embroidery thread here around the section in the middle. But inside, I did something a little different with the text paper. Look at that button on the front. It's so cute. Okay. Anyways, inside, notice how I took the paper and I tore the edge to give it this sort of deckled look. I love it because this could be turned into a junk journal. Someone could take this and use it for notes, like field notes, or they could put pictures in it. I mean, there's so many possibilities. And with this nice handmade paper, it just gives it that sort of homemade vintage feel that I absolutely am in love with. So let me wrap this back up and I want to take you through the steps to make a few of these yourself. So first, of course, a few supplies. You're going to want to pause here and write these down. Now, these books are super simple, but you do need a few things at home like your bone folder, ruler, some scissors, pencil, etc. Go ahead and grab these things and then let's get started. So I'm starting with this, handmade paper, and I say that with air quotes because check this out. It definitely has a grain direction. Easy to fold this way, not so easy to fold that way, which means I'm going to want to fold it in half, and that works great for this project. So grab some handmade paper or something that looks like it, and then get yourself some text paper, or you can use writing, drawing, for charcoal, watercolor, whatever you want to use. So for tools, get a ruler, a clamp, a pair of scissors like these, a retractable blade, a template for the holes that you want to punch, and of course a bone folder and all to punch your holes, pencil, and then I've got this awesome embroidery thread, tons of different colors. I got it on sale one year, a couple binder clips and some paper to keep your booklet safe. And then you're going to want to get some thread. Mine is a waxed 3-ply maroon colored thread, and then I'm also using a number 5 binding needle. And last, but certainly not least, grab some of these really cute, like I use these for closures, just like brads and things like that. I have had these for years, so I'm going to use them in my books. Grab whatever works for you. Now, lay out your paper. Make sure that you measure over to about 4.5 inches. Draw a line. Then you're going to measure to the 9-inch mark to give it a 2-inch flap. And of course, score it again. And now we're going to fold it over. I'm creating a very light fold, and I'm not creasing it with my bone folder. I'm doing that on purpose because I want it to wrap around the spine. And then similarly with the flap that folds over in the front, I don't want a tight crease. I want it to wrap around the front of the book. So let's look at the book itself. I've got my paper here. I'm going to go down and take about 1 inch off of this edge using this Decal Method. So I've got this tear bar. Some of you might have a tear bar like this. I've had mine for years. It's a Stampin' Up! Tear bar from years and years and years ago. I don't even know when I got it, but it works really well for this purpose. Now, you can do anything you like. You could tear these yourself. You could wet them and tear them to create a different look. I mean, it's up to you. All I did here is I'm just flipping it over the other side, and I was like, oh, I don't want to take off too much, but I need to take off enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do about 3/4 inch on this side. The goal is to end up with a book that's about 4.25 inches wide. So when I fold this in half, let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to hold it in the center, press in the middle, and then out so it doesn't creep on me too much. Now when I fit it inside the book, it's perfect because it's got a little bit of extra on that edge right there. This way I can fold over. See how there's like this extra about 1/4 inch between the edge of the decal and here? That makes it easy to fold the flap over the top, and it also gives it room on the spine to fold. So let's go ahead and mark the top here. That way I know how much to cut off. I'm just scoring it. You can kind of see the line showing up there, right there. Okay, so I'm going to line it up, use my ruler, and then I'm just going to use the retractable blade to slice off the top bit. I'm going to hold on to that though, because you'll see why later. I'm not going to get rid of it. Now it's the perfect size, and so I'm going to fit the book in here, but first, watch this. I'm going to take these pages apart, 2 different stacks, and go with, paper's getting away from me, go with every other one here. This way, they're kind of messed up. They're not exactly, you know, the same size on every single sheet, so it gives it a bit more of that messy, put together look that we like to have in junk journals. And so whoever gets this gift from me, I want them to have the ability to do that if they want to. Now, I want to prepare this to do the punched holes, and to do that, I'm going to fit it inside the pamphlet just like this, and then I'm going to clip one side on the bottom, and I'm going to clip the other side right here on the top. Oh, this is so stubborn. Let me fix the paper here. Okay. You ever get those stubborn clips? I know, right? It's constant. Okay, so now it's ready. I've got this template. I made this and then I wanted to show you. So all of the markings are right there on the template. You can pause this video and get those markings off for yourself if you'd like. And now I'm just going to go through the process of punching these holes. So we'll start in the center, and I'm doing this really carefully. Very slow when I'm using the handmade paper. It looks fast in the video because I sped this part up, but I'm actually going really slow because I don't want to tear the handmade paper, and usually it's quite delicate. So depending on what you're using on the outside, I mean, if you're using like canvas with gesso, you can probably go really strong, but I'm using this handmade paper and I want to be careful. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to take the template out, and then there's our holes, which is perfect because we're ready to sew. So first you need to know how much thread to use. I've done this over and over, and I know that you need 1 length, 2 lengths, just 3 lengths. We're going to cut right there, load up that needle. Let me zoom in. I want you to see this. This is how you thread a needle for bookbinding. You literally poke it through your thread and then slide it to the bottom. Keep going carefully until you can use your thumbnail to kind of pull that waxed thread over the bottom of the needle. And now it's kind of trailing behind the needle, not around the eye of the needle. And we're going to start at the center. So this is a 5-hole pamphlet. I'm starting at the center. You could start at the outside. It just depends on where you want to tie it. I like to tie mine off on the inside of the book, so I start on the inside. Now go to the second hole, just like this. In from out. Pull the thread through here. I'm always careful not to pull too hard because I don't want to shrink that little bit of thread on the inside. I want it to stay about 2 inches. Now through the top from the inside to the outside. Again, pulling it nice and tight. There we go. And now we're going to go back into that second hole, but from the outside. And this can be tricky. You don't want to stab through your old or the other piece of thread that's already there. You actually want to try to go next to the thread when you come through the hole. And the reason for that is because you can end up with a knot. So if you needed to back your way out of this because you made a mistake, it would be really hard to do that if you went through the thread versus alongside it. All right, we're going to skip the center and go right here into the 4th hole, inside to the outside. Pull it nice and tight. There we go. And now I want to go into the 5th hole from the outside to the inside. Careful with your thumb placement here so you don't stab yourself. Look how close that was. I had a moment where I felt the needle go by my thumb and I was like, ooh, that was a little too close for comfort. Okay, from the 4th inside to the back, inside back to the outside, sorry. And then you're also going to pull it tight here. Get this. There we go. And now I want to go back in. This is the last one. We're going to enter at the center again, glide alongside the previous piece of thread, and then you want to end up where your needle is on one side of that center line of thread, and the other thread is on the other side of the line. See that? See how that's like one on the other side? That's going to make it easier for us to tie a weaver's knot. So this is how you do a weaver's knot. Tie it first this way, then you switch like that, and tie it again. There you go. Now cut off, I usually leave about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch inside. And you can just smooth or put them under the lines, however you want to do it. Now we can take our clamps off. Set that over there. this one off. And we're done. We're done with the sewing part. The hardest part's out of the way. Now the fun part. We get to decorate the front. So I need to create the hole locations. Checking out my sewing job here. Okay, I need to create the hole locations, but first I want to just flip through and make sure all the pages are fitting and everything looks good. And it does. It looks great. Okay, nice, and it's a good tight sewing, so I'm happy with it. Now I'm going to line it up here so that we're square. Grab my ruler. I'm going to start at the center hole because I know that's the center of the book. And I'm going to line up the ruler here, and using my awl, not my pencil because I don't want to make marks that I can't erase. Using my awl, I just want to make a little poke. It just gives it kind of an indent. Not too deep because I don't want to stab the paper underneath. Just enough to leave a mark that I can see. And I do it on the left side of the flap, and then I do it on the flap itself. Now that I know where it's at, I can use my thumb to kind of hold the flap and poke through. I like to freehand it, but if you're worried about freehanding, don't be afraid to use a self-healing mat, like a tiny one or something else. Like, let me show you what I mean. I'm going to take that strip that we cut off earlier. I'm going to fold it up just like this. Put it underneath so that I have something to pierce into. And then I'm going to go ahead and pierce through without worry, right? There it is. And now I'm ready to put my little brads in. Everything is lining up. Perfect. Okay, so grab your brads or your eyelets, whatever it is that you want to use. I decided to go with this little button and this square one. And then go ahead and feed. You can do it either way. I like to feed this one in first because I'm going to use the little one to measure out the length of thread that I need. And I'm going to go ahead and just split these open. I do sometimes put a piece of washi tape over this just to protect the paper on the other side, so you can do that too. I didn't do that here, but I do recommend it. And then for the little one, I'm going to grab my thread. So I'm just using some gray and black embroidery thread. And I'm going to kind of put it where it's going to be, hold it with my thumb, twist it around here. And it tells me, okay, I want about that many twists. So now I want to double up on the thread. So I'm going to hold it at the center, pull it out so I get 2 exact lengths of that thread, and then cut. Now I'm going to take the little loop. I'm going to put the button brad through it, just like this. There we go. And then I'm going to feed that through the paper here carefully. I sped this up a little bit, but I am going pretty slow. I don't want to tear the paper. And then I'll spread these out. There we go. Now the button brad is holding onto it. You squeeze it a little bit just like this to get it nice and tight behind the button. And now you're ready to kind of hold it in place and start to wrap it like this. You can use ribbon for this or lace. There's so many different, materials you can use to make this closure. Get creative. Use your own style. And then I just wrap it behind the button here. And once I give it a twist, which my thread is splitting. There we go. After a twist, I like to tie off the bottom like this. Let me show you. It creates a knot that holds the 2 threads together. And then I'll just trim off a bit of the bottom like that. And there we go. We're done. So that's how easy these are to make. I'm so excited to show you these today. You can get really creative and make them for stocking stuffers or make them as gifts for those that you love or even as an activity for kids. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If there's other tutorials you want to see, definitely let me know in the comments and I will see you in the next tutorial.